Okay, hey everyone. It's been a minute since I've done a video, so I wanted to catch you all up on how things are going with my treatment and what's new, latest and greatest. So let's dive in. So the biggest change is that I had a consult with a holistic doctor in the end of December. This is something that is offered through Sutter, but you have to complete an application for it. There was all these steps that I had to go through to get approved, fill out that 8-page application, and finally had a consult. And I did this because I wanted to work with somebody who was going to look at the whole picture. Because how it's been lately, it's like I've got my GI doctor, I've got my oncologist, I got the surgeon, I've got my general practitioner, and they all address individual parts of my treatment, but I wanted someone who's going to take a look at everything and offer a recommendation for how to handle it all. So I went to Dr. Gina, and I will link below a link to her practice, which is the integrative division of Sutter, Sutter Health. And she made some recommendations that I thought were really interesting and very different from what I'd heard before. So I thought it would be worth kind of just doing a video about this while I'm brushing my hair. Okay, so the first thing that she recommended, and I'm kind of gonna really take the time to talk mostly about this one recommendation as opposed to all the recommendations she gave me, because they certainly were like lengthy and honestly like very well documented and informed. Everything she sent me that was a recommendation was like backed by science, so I felt really good about it. But the number one thing that she suggested is that I read a book called Anti-Cancer. And I actually, believe it or not, have a copy of it right here. Nope, this isn't the wrong one. Just kidding. Here it is. Here we go, Anti-Cancer. And so, as you can tell, I have like coffee on it. So I read Anti-Cancer, and the work in this book references the work of Dr. Valter, yes, Valter Longo out of USC, who promotes a very high plant-based diet. It's like a plant-based ketogenic-ish diet called fasting mimicking diet for 5 days around the time of chemotherapy. So essentially what I talked to Dr. Gina about is starting the day before my treatment, and my treatment it spans over 3 days. So if it starts Tuesday, it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So starting Monday, I start the fasting mimicking diet. Then on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I continue that fast. And then Saturday, I eat a little bit more than the fasting, but it's kind of like a slight bump in calories. So how my day looks, how my weeks for chemo look now is Monday, I start the fast, 1,100 calories, Tuesday through Friday, 800 calories, Saturday, 1,300 calories. Now, I wanted to talk about this because as those of you who personally know me, you know that I had a background in a history of disordered eating. So as soon as somebody tells me you've got to do X, like you have to, like you can't do this, or you can't have sugar, or you can't have gluten, or you can't have anything, it's almost like I have this sense of anxiety that like wells up within me, and some of those kind of like old fears and food fears come back. So after trying the fasting mimicking diet for a couple rounds, I started to notice that on the days that I wasn't fasting, I could stick with the fast during the fast, but the days I wasn't fasting, I was having this ravenous hunger and really struggling with it because I felt like it was like back to the all or nothing. So the first thing that I did is I went back to my doctor. And if you are struggling with any kind of food plan, and if you have struggled with disordered eating in the past, obviously the first thing that you have to do is get help. And when I started to notice that I was all of a sudden having all of these urges to binge, I reached out to my doctor and I said, hey, I need to talk to you because this is what happened. The first round went okay, but then I noticed the second round that I just didn't feel like I could eat enough afterwards. And I just felt this insatiable urge to eat everything. And to me, when I start to get those urges, I know like there's not time to screw around. It's time to like literally like, okay, you need to sound the alarm. You need to tell someone. So I told my doctor, and she's like, so we talked about like how I could modify things in a way that would be a lot more supportive of me. We came up with a plan where I can implement some principles, but I don't have the rigidity that I had before. And I talked to her just about like different nutritional protocols. And she also encouraged me to start working with someone again, one-on-one, to make sure that through this process I have support. So the next day I literally set up an appointment with a dietitian and signed up to work with her. And we are going to continue to work together through the rest of this process. So when I talked to my doctor, one of the things that we addressed, and with a dietitian as well, is the concept of intuitive eating. I personally have been a macro tracker for as long as I can remember. I mean, it feels like it's been a decade or longer now. And one of the things that my doctor suggested is that we really look at letting go of the macro tracking to really allow me to tune into my intuitive hunger signals as they're coming up, especially if I'm coming off of a fast. Now, a lot of times people would say, don't fast at all if you've had a history of disordered eating, but I really feel that the benefits of the fasting mimicking diet are highly beneficial and make the chemotherapy more effective for me. This is my belief, and based on what I've read through this, the anti-cancer, through the fasting, the longevity diet, which you can read by Dr. Walter Longo. This is his book. So we decided that I'm going to move to a more intuitive eating approach with my diet and have periods of time where I focus on the ketogenic aspect and more whole foods and incorporating some plant-based recommendations. But ultimately, the number one goal is that I stay healthy through this process. And we're not just talking about physically healthy to fight my cancer. We're talking about mentally and emotionally healthy as well. And that is a priority for me. So I wanted to do this video because I wanted to take a minute to just really encourage you, if you are in a place where you are struggling with your eating, that you kind of have to do first things first. And that for me, when I notice that I'm starting to get a sensation that I'm having binge urges and something's kind of going, things don't feel right anymore, then, reach out, get help. Of course, you can reach out to the National Eating Disorders Association or anybody that tell someone and start to do some research. Talk to your doctor, get support, get resources. I feel that for me, working with a dietitian at this time, and having the community of coaches that I have access to is going to be supportive and helping me just feel a lot more confident. Another thing that I did so I can feel more confident as I'm going through these final stages, I'm on round 10 of chemo this week. Yeah, almost done. Is that I have started to get more information on how do I become an intuitive eater when I have been macro tracking for so long? So I got this book by Janine Roth, Breaking Free from Emotional Eating, and I also got the intuitive eating book, which is pretty popular. It's coming in the mail today. And so I want to talk to you guys as I'm becoming more educated about making this transition. I want to do more videos about that content because I think it's really important. And it's also really tied in with a lot of the other symptoms that I have, believe it or not. One of the things that I talked to Dr. Gina about is just about pain. And a lot of times in life, when we have repressed emotions, that manifests itself. Those feelings manifest themselves through physical pain. And something she suggested to me is that some of the pain that I've been experiencing, and if you've been following my videos, you know that literally I've been having this pain since my surgery, could be a signal that there are trapped emotions. And for me at the time when I was experiencing whatever was happening in life, it was easier for me to lock those emotions down and not experiencing them, completely unknown to me. And now, as I've had all of this physical trauma, I've had time now to express this pain, and it's really just symbolic of what's happening on an emotional level. have I lost you? Have we gone too woo-woo here? I hope not, because it's something that for me has been completely eye-opening. And I started, of course, going down the rabbit trail, watching all these videos on YouTube about intuitive eating and how people do things. And of course, there's the whole like Stephanie Buttermore approach of all in, and people who just kind of say like, you got to follow your mental hunger, follow physical hunger. So I want to invite you on this journey with me as I really work to decipher, with my dietitian about the approach that's going to work best for me and how I'm going to get to a point where I'm not so worried about tracking macros, and I'm really not worried, but I alleviate space in my brain so that way I can get in touch with my body's natural hunger and fullness cues. So I am actually really excited. I have been noticing a lot so far, and I'm going to do another video that'll be specifically on intuitive eating and just kind of going through it in these like first days and weeks and things that advice I've taken from people and things that I've implemented for myself. So if you're interested, please like this video, subscribe, comment below. I would love to hear you because we've got a whole lot more coming. As for chemo treatment, we're going into round 10. Like I said, I'm feeling super strong today. Today is Sunday and the treatment is on Tuesday. Since I've implemented the fasting mimicking diet, I do notice that my tired seems to be condensed. The exhaustion is a bit more condensed. I still have days where I get a little bit tired, and I honor that by sleeping. And of course, by eating as much as I feel like my body needs. I've also noticed that I have had less nausea during my chemo. And for those of you who don't know, a lot of times chemo does make you nauseous and they give you pills to help with that nausea. The side effect of the pills is constipation. So given that I have colon cancer, or I believe my body is healing from it, I decided not to take the anti-nausea pills. And it was a bit of a challenge the first several rounds, but the last few rounds since I've been doing the FMD, fasting mimicking diet, I've noticed that that symptom has subsided. So I'll keep you all updated, and if there is information or content you would like me to do a video on, please post in the comments below or reach straight out to me. And I hope you guys have a great day. Talk to you later. Bye.